Okay, so I'm just going to give you a lesson on how to make one of these personalized checkerboards. Basically, it's a great way to show photos of yourself and a bit of summary of what you've learned throughout the term. So you can put in photos that you've taken yourself or photos of yourself. So first thing you need to do is go File, New, and you're going to come here and we're going to change this to Custom, and we're going to make the width, change it to centimeters. We'll make the width 100 centimeters by 100 centimeters because we want it to be a perfect square. Now with the resolution though, we'll change that from 72 to 50. So we're just going to bring the image size down a little bit so it isn't too big. In fact, I might even go with 25. I think that'll be perfect. So, and then press OK. So there you've got your blank screen. So in order to make your measuring a lot easier, you can bring up a grid. So if you go View, Show, Grid, this will give you your squares, and then you can go View and Rulers. So then you can measure it up a bit. So going back to my image, you can see I've got colors and I've written ROFE and AMELIA and the number 4, which is the date that I was born. So you can sort of do something like that, or you can put your initials, or you can write a word that you really like. But first thing we want to do is get these colored squares in. So you want to get the rectangular marquee tool and then highlight over a section, and we want our squares to be, I think, 20 centimeters. So if we go 20 centimeters by 20 centimeters, you'll get a perfect square. Actually, let's just have a look back here. If I measure this, if I get the ruler, this should show me my square is, yep, 20 centimeters, so I've got it perfect. Okay, so I've got my 20 centimeter square, and then I'm going to get my paint bucket, which is hiding under the gradient tool, just here, and I'm going to change my color. So I want to choose, I'm going to go with a bit of a red theme today. I'm going to make all my squares red. So then you can go Paint, and then we'll do it again. So we'll go back here and we'll go to, actually what I could even do is, so if that's 20 centimeters, I'll go to 40 centimeters. What I need to get in there, another square, got my square, paint bucket, and paint. Now what I could even do is copy it. So if I go Control C, no, let's not do that. No, I won't do that. We're going to do it the boring way. So rectangular marquee tool from the corner there, and following down the side when I get to 40 centimeters. So they're all going to be the same size. Paint bucket, rectangular marquee tool, and we can come in from the corner. So this one's going backwards. We want all our squares to be the same size. That really is the key. Oh, that one didn't line up properly. I have to start again. It's very fiddly. Yeah. And get my paint bucket. There we go. Rectangular marquee tool. Making sure they're all, now you can see the little measurements are coming up, 20 centimeters, rectangular marquee tool. It's actually saying on the corner there 20.12 centimeters by 20.12 centimeters. That's just because the measurements are slightly out, but it's still a perfect square. So that's the important part. It's roughly 20 centimeters. It's just being very, very specific. Now, this should give me an even 25 squares. See, that's, yeah, see, I've missed it. I keep not quite getting in the corners. That's why the measurements are a little bit out. So you've got to be really specific. And marquee tool. You can fast forward past this bit. It's a bit boring. Nearly there. I'm going to go from the corner. This one should be an easy one because it's the last section. Should be very easy. Let's just make sure. Now, there we go, 20 by 20. So that means that they've all lined up perfectly. And one more, lucky last. There we go, paint bucket, and I've got all red, which is great. And you can see over here on the layer, I've got a big red checkerboard. Now I should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I've got 25 squares, which is perfect. Now what we need to do is start putting some images in there. So I'm gonna go File, Open, and I'm gonna find a picture that I wanna put in. Now it could be a picture that you have taken yourself. It could be a picture of you, anything you like. Now what have I got? I'm sure here we go. I've got a picture of a camera because this is about photography. So that's excellent. Hopefully this appears. Takes a second to load. All right, so I've got a picture of my camera. Now the problem is this picture is rectangular, but I need a square to fit into one of these squares. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the crop button and I'm actually going to crop it to make it into a square. Now if I go up here, I can see it says 57.4 centimeters and 41. So if I keep cropping, actually I'm going to crop from the other side because I don't want to lose that shadow shape. So if I keep cropping until my width gets to matching square, 42, should get there eventually, 48, maybe not, might have to crop out some of this shadow, keep cropping, God it's tricky, 40, I've got 42, oh there we go, 41.98 and 41.95. That's about a perfect square. So once I've got my square, I can press enter. And then it's really easy to work with. So then I'm going to get my marquee tool and I'm going to copy the whole thing. And I'm going to go Control C, which will help me copy it. And then I should be able to come back over to my page and go Control V. And I've got my picture. Problem is though, my picture is huge, so what you can do then is go Control minus and then click on your move tool and that'll bring this up, and then you can shrink him down and you can zoom back in as well by going Control plus. Keep shrinking him down until he fits perfectly in the square. Now because I turned the picture into a square in the first place, it should fit very nicely and the picture won't be distorted. Then I'm going to press enter to say that I'm happy with where I've put it. So that is pretty much how you get your pictures in, and it's the same process every time. Now looking back at my thing, I've obviously got letters. So how do we make a letter? We come down here to the T and I can see up here that my color is red. Now I've got a red background, so I need a color that's going to look good with red, and I reckon white today would look really good with red. And I'm going to write the word photo. So I'm going to click here. Now I can change my font over here. I'll get something kind of funky. I think I'll go with sort of a modern font, and I'm going to make my pixels quite large. I might go with 72 and hopefully that'll give me something. And I'm going to write the letter P because I'm going to write photo. Now I can see here it's still very small, so I'm going to need to make the text a lot bigger. So because it only goes to 72, what I can do is highlight over this and change it to 200, and even that's still not big enough. Change it to 400. I reckon I could go a bit bigger again, 500, and it's about right, and I'm going to put it into place, and Bob's your uncle. And if you want to get away from that, you can click on your marquee tool and it will leave it there. Then I'll get my T button again. Now, fortunately, my font stayed the same and my font size has stayed the same, so I don't need to set it up again. So I can just go in here and I'll put a H because I'm doing photography. I'm going to move him into place. Easy done. And then you can press tick to say I'm happy with where it is. Come back and grab your T. Now what are we putting here? An O for photo. Bring them down. Tick. What's our next letter? T. Keep doing it too high. Drag it down. Tick. I'll try a bit lower this time. T. O. Tick. G. Tick. Trying to remember how to spell photography. R. It's really hard to spell when you're doing it like this. P. Photog. A. Tick. P. Hopefully it fits. H. Tick. And maybe we'll put the Y in the middle. I can never get it right, so I have to move it. And then over here, oh sorry, tick. Over here I'll put an asterisk. Tick. And I'll put another asterisk over here because I want it to all look pretty good and even. And then tick. There we go. So I'll go through again how to put an image in. So I'm going to go File, Open, because I still need some more images for my checkerboard. Go to my USB, and I'm going to find a picture. What have I got? Nothing in there. Photo. I always have photos. I've got this photo of a dinosaur. So I'm going to open this up in Photoshop. And I'm going to get my crop button again. And I'm going to crop him from the corners. And I can see there it's at... I'm going to crop him down until I get a perfect square. So you can see I've got 49.99 and 49.95. That's as close as it's going to get. Once you get your measurements right, you can come up here and press tick. And then get your marquee tool, rectangular marquee, highlight over the whole thing, press Control C, come back to your product, press Control V. Again, he's way too big, so we're going to go up to the Move tool, and we should be able to shrink him down and move him into position. And that's going to make a really cool little piece of my puzzle. Hang on. Once I can get him in place. Should fit in perfectly. And then press tick, and there's another one done. So now, just so I don't freak out and lose my work, I'm not finished, but I'm going to go save as, because I've done a lot of work, and I'm going to save it as my checkerboard and keep it as a PSD. Go File, Save. Now it can be very slow because it's a big file. When this comes up, you just want to say OK. Now, when you do finish your final product, so for example, this is my finished product and you want to save it as a JPEG, you want to go File, Save As. Now, go to your USB and call it My Checkerboard. Now, instead of a PSD, we're going to save it as something called a JPEG, and it's this one here, JPEG, with 3 JPEGs after it, so you should be able to find it. And that'll allow you to email it or upload it to Daymap. It needs to be a JPEG if you're going to upload it to Daymap. And then you press Save. It will ask you what image quality you want. Now, high can be a little bit too big, so I'm going to set it to medium, so that way, because we know if files are too big, they won't upload to Daymap. So set it to medium and then press OK. Now, if you look down here, it does take a minute to save, so don't freak out. Just wait till it gets to 100%. and you should be good to go. And then you should be able to upload your photo to Daymap. Thank you for listening.